This is Staunton, Virginia, a bustling city in the heart of the Shenandoah Valley that can trace its history back to 1732, when John Lewis and his family settled in the area. Since being founded in 1747, the town has seen a lot of history. From being the temporary capital of Virginia in 1781 to being a key railroad hub during the American Civil War, being the birthplace of President Woodrow Wilson, and also the home of Desjardins Sanitarium, said to be one of the most haunted places in Virginia. Staunton is known for its arts, its downtown, and for numerous events that take place throughout the year. During its history, Staunton has seen a lot of tragedy, and one of the hotspots of death and hauntings is the Staunton train depot. I became aware of the story of Myrtle Knox when I was looking for haunted places in my area, and this one stood out to me because of how many experiences there are relating to Myrtle Knox. The Ghost of Staunton operates a ghost tour every year, and I attended several of these tours when I was learning to be a paranormal investigator. On these tours, I was able to hear more details about the ghost stories in town, as well as talk to the tour guides about stories they have heard and their experiences with Myrtle Knox. The first depot was built in 1854, and Staunton experienced an economic boom shortly after. Staunton became a popular stop for tourists, and even people who decided to move to the growing town in search of financial success. The first depot was destroyed during the American Civil War, and the town, now a city, was a major target because the depot connected civilians, supplies, and the Southern Army to vast areas of the South. After the war, the railroad continued to bring people and industry to the city, but it also began bringing something else: the arts. In rebuilding after the war, the city began investing in engineering, music, photography, and various other art and design professions and people. Crowds would gather at the station to see musical acts arrive, well-known artists, and many other guests, including President Ulysses S. Grant. The Oscar-led troupe that Myrtle Knox was a part of was an especially exciting guest because it marked the first time an opera group was performing in Staunton. Myrtle Knox, by all accounts, was very talented. History says she worked at a telegraph office, but had dreams of performing across the country. Her father didn't approve of these dreams, and reportedly wanted her to stay in Kansas City and continue her work at the telegraph office, which more than likely was housed at the train station in Kansas City. The story goes that one day she planned to join an opera group on their nationwide tour and to get on a train with them heading east. Once word got out that Myrtle had run away, her father began pursuing her, stopping at every town trying to find his daughter, but he was always just a moment too late. Myrtle began performing, and by all accounts, she was very talented, and there were even mentions that she was a star in the making. She was making friends, gaining fame, but more importantly, she was living her dream. As Myrtle settled into a sleeping car to get some rest, she would have been excited for her next performance at a town with plenty of art lovers and press. She must have been excited to perform in Staunton. The line going into Staunton is very scenic. Farms dot the landscape, and over every hill and around every bend, it seems like a bigger, better view opened up. There was one issue, however. A notorious hill presented a challenge to steam engines of the time. Engineers knew of the hill and how to handle it safely. On April 26, 1890, as the locomotive made its way down the hill, the engineer must have felt a sigh of relief. The hill had been conquered, and no other obstacles lay ahead, and the train could glide into the city. As the engineer began to apply the brake, he realized something was very wrong. The brakes had gone out. The emergency brake was pulled, but it too failed. The train, which was already behind schedule, was now racing out of control. At the platform, anxious crowds gathered to watch the train pull into the station. When the train didn't arrive on time, some began to worry, but it wasn't unusual for trains to be a little late, especially this time. As an hour went by, concerns spread. Another hour passed, and word began to spread that something might have happened, something might have gone wrong. You can imagine the sigh of relief people would have felt when they saw the headlight of the train in the distance and heard the whistle. As the train got closer to the Staunton station, relief turned to panic. The locomotive was engulfed in flames and was rushing to the station at a horrible speed. There is a curve that goes into the platform, and people knew the train would derail into the crowd. The whistle of the steam engine screamed, people fled, and the train began to rock off the tracks. Myrtle Knox died of blood loss on the platform in front of a crowd of people that was so excited to see her and her troupe perform. Myrtle was taken to the funeral parlor downtown, and people from all over the area sent flowers and donated money for a funeral. Shortly after her death, her dad arrived in town and found his daughter's body in the funeral home. He had just missed her again. Her body was shipped back to Kansas City, but the tragedy hung over Staunton like a dark cloud. Talk spread that they should have been able to save her that night. The only hospital in the close area was Western State Mental Hospital. So a group began collecting money and raising funds to start a hospital in Staunton. The hospital would make sure no one had to suffer the same fate that Myrtle Knox did. In honor of Myrtle, the hospital and group would take their name after a necklace that was found around Myrtle's neck, the King's Daughter. The King's Daughter's Hospital opened and has served Staunton since the doors opened for the first time. Another depot would not be built until 1902, and only the Signal House remains as a witness to the horrific tragedy that happened that one April night in 1890. Years after her death, stories began circulating that Myrtle was roaming the platform and passenger station. People claimed to see her in a dress walking the platform, seeing her in windows. Others claimed to hear her crying near the spot where she passed away. And a story is told that says she will tug on the hair of women with blonde hair. Myrtle Knox is said to be one of the most active spirits at the Staunton train depot, and local legend says that on the anniversary of her death is when she's the most active.